Welcome to Center Heist Productions. Please hit the likes and subscribe down in your right hand corner. Muchly appreciate it. We'd appreciate it if you ding that, give it a high five or whatever, the like button and the subscribe. Muchly appreciate it. Tell your friends and family, pass it on, share it. Trying to grow the channel, and we're trying to grow a good, strong Habs community where we all can discuss the things going on with our club and where they're headed projection wise, and have a good community where everybody respects one another. That's what's here in an integral channel for the Habs. All right, let's get right into it. Yesterday, the rookie camp list was put out, and for the Habs, and there were 23 players on that list, and we're going to name all the players. I believe there was 14 forwards, and I believe it's 7 defensemen, and yeah, 2 goaltenders. So anyway, we're going to name them, and we have a lot of, we know Demidov and Hage are not there, and even Kapanen, which Kapanen is kind of, for me, it's kind of a disappointment that he's not at this camp, because I think he could have been a shoo-in and making the Habs. I really think he's moving the needle so much, and listening to Ole Jokinen, for the praises he's gaining, and he's getting them everywhere. I'm really kind of surprised that he's not at this camp. But anyway, with who we do have at the camp, we're going to get right into it. And we're going to talk about, I'll probably be mentioning the defense first in my evaluation of what I think the threat, who to watch is. First, we'll list the camp. We got Owen Becknos, Jared Davidson, Sean Farrell, Emil Heineman, Riley Kidney, Justin LaRose, who's getting a tryout, Philip Mishar, Israel Mainscomb, Logan Nyroff, who's getting a tryout, Maxine Pellerin is getting a tryout, Charles Savoie is getting a tryout, and we got from this year's draft Tyler Thorpe there, and then Luke Tuck and Florian Jacki. Those are your forwards. Then we go down to the defense. We got Emmanuel Charbonneau getting a tryout, Adam Enstrom, Lane Hudson, Logan Mailloux, Simon Matu, who's getting a tryout, and Owen Protz from this year's draft. And then David Reinbacher, and our goaltenders, Quentin Miller and Samuel Richard, getting a tryout. So this is going to be interesting. And then they have their games on the 14th and 15th against the Leafs. See how that all pans out, there'll be this is going to be a dogfight. And there's going to be some guys in the NHL like Barron that are going to really be, they're going to have to watch it, because there's guys I think that can push them out of this. And we're going to start with the defense. We all know who the guys to watch are. Lane Hudson, to me, he's making the Habs. He's got too much high hockey IQ. He's very intelligent. I think we'll get into size. I think I think he'll be all right. If you only got one smaller defenseman, I think we'll be able to get around that with just one. And I think Logan Mailloux has a really good chance of surpassing Barron. He had such an exceptional year in Laval. And Reinbacher, I'm figuring he's going to be in Laval this year, but he's really put it out there. He wants to make this Habs team, and I wouldn't bet against him. That's all I can say with his ranginess, and he's got a bit of everything in his game. All I can say is don't bet against him. Those guys, and then Adam Enstrom. No one's even talking about him, and he could really push the needle here too. So we got a serious problem on the amount of talent coming up in our defense corps. It's just ridiculous. But I do think Lane Hudson and Logan Mailloux, I think they're going to cut the team. They're going to make it. They're going to make the team. I foresee, and I think we've all foresee that. I think most foresee Lane as a shoe-in for sure. They're questionable on Mailloux. I see Mailloux getting there too with what I've seen of him. I think he's ahead of Barron, honestly, and I think Barron and Struble may fall into the extras, and that could be tricky, because I don't think as time progresses that they're going to be able to keep up with Hudson, Mailloux, or Reinbacher as they get more touches. I think those three are going to advance, and you'll start moving on from Savard, and then down the road a couple of years maybe from Matheson. But those guys to me, those three players are going to move up very quick, once they get enough touches. So that's what I see there. Those are the three we know. And then, like I say, there's four really technically. With don't count Enstrom out. That's all I can say. I don't know. I'd be concerned if I was Struble and especially Barron. I'd be concerned because I think with these four guys, they easily, you got a problem here coming in. There's going to be some big decisions that management has to make. So those are the four defensemen. We know Hudson, Mayu, I think make it. I think on the cusp is Reinbacher, and then Ed Enstrom. He had such a good, strong showing last year. I don't rule him out. So that's the defense. Goaltenders, there's no threat there with these two anyway. I think there's more threat with Dobish than there is with these two. Although, Quentin Miller has had good words where he really wants to challenge all the goaltenders. He's made that clear. So it'd be interesting if he can live up to that. Good to see he's got the confidence. Now we're going to go to the forward group that are here. Owen Beck, Jared Davidson, Sean Farrell, Emil Heineman, Riley Kidney, Justin LaRoe for a tryout, and Philip Machar. And anyway, out of that list, I think I've already listed them off to you. Out of that list, I honestly have like four guys that could cause some serious trouble this year, and I would keep my eye on it. I'm going to call for my wild card, and I'm going to surprise people. My wild card is Florian Jacki. I think this guy he's made it clear he's got something to prove. He's been looking sharp. He's shown an offensive progression this last season that went by. He's hungry, and I would never bet against a Jacki. That's just me. I'm really thinking this is a guy that could really push one of those guys on the fourth line out. Like I say, as much as we, and this anyway, I'll get to that after. So Florian Jacki is my dark horse. I put him first. We know Owen Beck's on the cusp of making the Habs. There's so much praise going on. He's had great steps forward. So there's another one. That's why I almost hope the Habs make one or two, one significant trade so that a couple of these guys can move into the rotation, because I think Beck is on the cusp. I think Jacki's going to shock some people and could move into that fourth line and bring toughness to us that we need. I wouldn't again Luke Tuck. He's another one. That's the third player I'd be watching. He's got a lot of potential, good size, and a lot of smarts. He's someone to keep an eye on. So I wouldn't bet again. I wouldn't be. He wouldn't shock me if he made a move. Philip Machar, we can. I know a lot of people like to knock him because he sometimes doesn't show the consistency, but they forget that he went from a bad team. He goes to a good team. He shows his potential. He's got a great vision of the ice and a beautiful setup, man. So his IQ is way up there. I think his compete is the thing we are hoping improves because he's got the talent. It's going to be up to him. So but I would keep my eye on him. So that's one, two, three, four players to watch. And of course, the final one, other than like we already mentioned, Owen Beck being one of the runners, Emil Heineman. This year, for me, I had such a disappointment with him last year. And he didn't look outrageously bad, but he did not look like the player we seen the prior year. He did not grasp his chance like Waugh did. He easily could have had a position on this team, and he blew his opportunity. To me, it's do or die. This is the season. To me, he either makes it, and if he doesn't, Montreal's probably going to move on from him. It's just the way I see it. I think it's do or die for Emil Heineman, and he could easily take, this is going to piss some people off. You know, um, Pizzetta's position easily. That's why I see a battle between, Heineman and Jacki jumping into that position that Pizzetta's in, one of them, and maybe there'll be a rotation. One of them gets into a spot, makes the team, and it rotates it with Pizzetta. Because Pizzetta, we got two things with Michael Pizzetta, his spot. You got to look at it. Michael Pizzetta brings something nobody else on the Habs other than Jacki. That's Big Brother Jacki on defense, Arbor. brings to the team, a toughness. He'll drop he's only a middleweight though, but he will drop the gloves with anybody. Now, in saying that, that's his strength because he will. Now, last year I felt dropped, he dipped a bit compared to the prior season. The only thing is nobody else on the Habs wants to do it, other than we got Slav starting to do it a lot, and we don't want our star players having to do a lot of that dirty work. Although it's nice to see that Slav takes up for his teammates, but you kind of want a couple of tough, gritty guys to come in there and take that role over so you don't lose your star players. So I say that's the one thing. No one else seems to, other than, Slab and Jackeye, seem to be the only guys that really want to take that role. And that's an issue. Hopefully, this is going to be a changing in the guard a bit where we're going to see some guys, although, yeah, Galley's always willing to battle too. I'll give Galley that. And other than that, we got a lot of problems when it comes to people being really ready to muck it up. That's an area we're soft in, and we got to toughen up. So that's what gives Pizzetta his strength, because talent-wise, he doesn't have a lot. He's really steps behind. So I know we're a lot of us are fans of Pizzetta, but honestly, if we're looking at his talent, there's no reason why one of these kids doesn't push him out of a spot at some point. However, his saving grace is that he's one of the only, him and Jackeye and Slav do the dirty work, right? And so that's his saving grace. But if we can get more guys on board to start doing it, he's going to lose a spot. And that's the thing, that Heineman brings a gritty edge with hitting. And if his shot, he would be ideal for that role. He would have been last year, but he didn't grab onto it. But that's where I think Jackeye has progressed. Florian. That's why I call him my dark horse, because I think he could take that role. But it's a shame, because then wouldn't it be nice to have him and Pizzetta? Um, and that's why I say it'd be nice. We need to make a move with Dvorak, Anderson, Galley, and the Armia. Those four guys. Something's got to give so we can keep a little more toughness in our system, because Anderson doesn't live up to what he's supposed to. He'd be the first one I would want to. Let's hope that something works out with Columbus, even if we have to pay half of his salary. I like Anderson as a person. He sounds like he's a good teammate in the locker room. I just don't like what he brings to the ice. No consistency, not enough heart. And needs, with that size, he's got the speed, but he just doesn't have the work ethic. He's he's a detriment in the negative zone on defense. He hurts you more than he does you any good. And Galley has a bit of that, but Galley works. There's a difference. Galley goes to the dirty areas and played better last year, whereas Anderson just doesn't have that, and he doesn't know how to throw a hit. I'm sorry to say, from a standpoint of watching, you watch this guy with the size he has, he hits the boards more than he hits a player. So, sorry, it's gonna bother some people I say that, because he seems like a great person, but he'd be the first on my list if Columbus needs to reach getting to their floor cap up. I would try to get him first and foremost gone, and then Dvorak, because Dvorak would open the door for like well, actually Newhook to actually fall in place on the third line center. Well, could be Newhook. It could actually be back at center and Newhook on a wing or something of that nature, but it would open up that center spot that we need to open up, and it would put more heart in the lineup. And I think we need to look at that, because truthfully, Newhook's the third liner. If we're realistic, yeah, he'll be on the second line this year. That's only because we were short one player for our top six, true top six, and that's why Demidov will be the difference. Demidov, and I do think Hage is going to be in that boat in the future too. I think those two. I think Hage at worst would be a third line center, and I honestly think he could be a winger on the second line when he arrives, but that's down the road. So, with that being said, keep your eyes on Owen Beck, because he's on the cusp. I think they're going to have a big decision. Emil Heineman has to do it this year. If he doesn't, they're going to. There's no doubt they're going to have to move on from him. Mishar, don't bet against him. I think a season will do him good in Laval, though, but I wouldn't bet against his IQ. If he ever puts it together to keep the work ethic, He's got great vision. Um, then you've got, again, like I said, Luke Tuck has a good solid game all the way around. Wouldn't bet against him. To me, he's a guy that can crack this lineup at some point. And for me, my dark horse, Florian Jacki, hands down. I just have a good feeling. And like I said, once we get guys that are willing to fight for their teammates, Pizzetta is going to lose his role. It's just that there's not enough guys on the team that do that. So that's uh, Pezzi's saving grace. But honestly, talent wise, I think Florian's a better player. I think Luke Tuck's a better player. I think Owen Beck's a better player. I think Mishard's a better player. And Emil Heineman's a better player. I think all of those guys are. Now, Jared Davidson, it's a shame. He'll be a good guy to fall to from the AHL. Good veteran. I just think he's a solid AHLer. That will be someone that can jump in when we have injuries. He'll for the bottom, the third and fourth line area. But I don't see him as our future on offense. And then, Riley Kidney, he's too up and down. And Sean Farrell, too small for us. We cannot, if we've got Caulfield, Newhook, and Hudson, you don't want more than three small players. We have to, anybody else who's small, we're going to have to move on from and put them in packages. It's not going to work. You can't have a small team if you want to win a Stanley Cup. Size does come into play when you're too small. It's big teams, it shows as the playoffs go on, bigger teams tend to last longer and endure more. So for us, if we got common sense, Sean Farrell, you throw him in a package. He's got talent, but to me, he reminds me of Charles Hudon. I don't even know if he can stay, but he definitely doesn't fit Montreal system. If he could go to another team where they can insulate him, fine. Maybe he's got a shot there, but I see a Charles Hudon personally. And Riley Kidney is too up and down for me. And like you say, I can't even mention the guys that are just here on tryouts. Don't know enough about them. And, at some point, Philip Mishar is going to put it all together. So he will, I do believe, be a Hab, or he'll be part of a trade that actually gets us something. Luke Tuck, same thing. I can see him being a part of the future, but I wish Kapanen was here. But like I say, for me, the two major ones out of that offensive core that I got my eyes on more, Florian Jacki and Owen Beck. And like I say, the only thing I'll be watching for Emil Heineman, it's do or die for him this season. It's kind of like Barron. Barron's in a situation if he doesn't do it, and I don't think he can keep pace with Mayu. I honestly don't, and I honestly think even Struble. I just think Barron has too many lapses defensively. Yes, he's got great offensive touch. It's just that doesn't outbalance the negativity of his defensive game enough and his giveaways. Although, give them credit, they're giving him another chance, so it's all on him. I wouldn't want to be in his. Well, he's got to take it serious because Adam Enstrom also is going to be in the mix. Ryan Becker, there's a lot of guys put heat on him, and so for that, your defensemen, we know the two that we think are going to make it are Lane Hudson and Mayu, but I wouldn't rule out Ryan Becker either if he truly makes a move. I think Laval would do him good for a season, but I wouldn't be shocked. And Enstrom's the same way. He's got so much to his game, and I think there's just too many unknowns. And then you got Struble. So you got quite a logjam. We are going to end up eventually having to unload a couple of these guys. So we just got to try to take the best out of the crew that make it. So that's the rundown of the guys I say to keep an eye on. And that's why I kind of put pictures of the guys I think are the guys to watch. So thank you for joining me at Center Ice. Appreciate it. Hit the like, subscribe. You've seen it here at Center Ice first. Hit the likes and subscribes. Muchly appreciate it. And leave your comments. Just keep it respectful. Catch you in the next episode. God bless. Go Habs, go.